E-commerce and agentic AI sound like a match made in heaven, right? Because e-commerce operators, they are working in a dozen different apps at any given time. Workflows are complex, so many variables in play, so many data sources. Now, any form of automation or agentic support can really help them out, save them time, cut margins, whatever they need to do. That's what SellerAI is trying to deliver with this new product. They just dropped on Product Hunt today, at least the latest version. This is a super ambitious project. It looks incredible so far. Today, we're going to take a look at the homepage, some of their social presence, their funnel more broadly, see what we can do to help them out. My name is Xander. I do full funnel audits and content strategy for SaaS tools, dev tools, AI stuff. Let's dive right in. Let's kick it off right here on the homepage. This is where you land as a first-time visitor to SellerAI. First thing they say, your store on autopilot. Let's check out the subheader. An autonomous agent runs your store. A native commerce layer makes your products discoverable by humans and AI alike. And we see kind of a back and forth conversation between a user and their AI agent, different product categories are showing them trends. So it's pulling this data from all these different sources. We can see the different channels that you can sell across, where you pull sources from for trends. And then apparently they also run ads. So right out of the gate, we're getting kind of bombarded with all of these features and all these capabilities, thinking this thing can run my entire store. With this agentic interface, all I have to do is just prompt it. The point is, these seem like very big promises, especially based on where e-commerce users are now, where many of them are still very hands-on. Maybe they do use a few automations here and there, but they like to have a lot of oversight, handling relationships with third-party logistics and then customer support on the end of that. That's what SellerAI seems to be capable of. I do kind of like this split between the two products. One isn't released yet. SellerClaw is still on the way, but SellerClaw is this autonomous operator, which they say runs your Shopify, your eBay, maybe your Amazon, connects direct to suppliers to source products and place orders, generates sellable product pages, manages ads, cloud hosted. So that's pretty much the entire e-commerce operator stack handled right there. They're showing some different workflows. So here's how you would source a project, what the agent is thinking, how it's reasoning. I think it might be useful for SellerAI to start with just one chunk, just one of these automations, one of these workflows, and really demonstrate the value of that workflow, one that they've tested, that they know is effective with real users that they have, and then support it with the data, however that's relevant to the workflow. So let's say on sourcing, it means, time saved talking with suppliers, more trusted suppliers, fewer issues, or better communication with international suppliers or the language element there. Everyday operators, they just want to save some time. They want to clear their headache on supplier communications, or they want to run ads faster, get a higher click-through rate. I would suggest finding the aspect of SellerAI that's working best right now and double down on that and really make it clear what the benefits are and then support that with the right stats. So once again, very ambitious. They've got a big audience scope. And I would give a similar type of feedback to this, like I talked about with the product. You kind of get this creep of scope. So this expansion of scope when you're talking about the product and all its capabilities. You're getting that again a little bit with audiences. The ICP, it might help to just focus on one of these based on their own user base. Who is actually using this? So to tie this together a bit, let's say SellerAI, their main users right now getting results are drop shippers who save time sourcing and they don't have as many errors with their 3PL, right? And if you back that up with some real stats on time saves or revenue, whatever it is, that's a specific type of user getting value out of a specific tool that they offer. And that just makes the buy-in so much easier. Instead of having to navigate kind of this maze of different features and ICPs and making them piece this together for themselves. This isn't to say that they should drop, all of their features or stop targeting these ICPs, but just following that same format, like I said, that builds a much stronger argument. Because even if these are sort of speculative examples, the benefit of having that is that it connects the product to a customer, to a story, to an outcome. Easy to absorb, it's easy to process, it speaks to real people in those situations. And it just takes some of the pressure off a first-time visitor to the site because the examples are really clear, and that just hits way harder. So again, we're kind of looking under the hood, seeing how this works. The one thing that I would kind of warn them about here is that the level of user sophistication in e-commerce is super broad. The operators are at so many different levels of technical savviness, and you might have a super established e-commerce supplement store which has a full team and they're trying to implement these things for themselves and they just need that extra level of support and they know all these terms already. And then on the other hand, you might have some dude who's like 60 years old and he sells like wood carvings out of his house on Etsy or something and he just needs something to fix his shipping, right? So I think maybe toning down the level of technicality, at least on the homepage, right? Because we're still halfway down the homepage. They can have all these things in their documentation for more advanced users. I still think this early on, we need to be talking about benefits, use cases, who's this for, what can it actually do? Show me the benefits, show me the outcomes. This seems a little too early to talk about MCPs and things like that. These guys seem to really understand e-commerce on a deep level. They couldn't make this without having that knowledge base in the first place. And so with that, they understand the pain points that come with e-commerce. And this happens a lot with founders, technical founders. They're so close to the material and they are so experienced in it. They kind of forget to communicate what those pain points might be for a beginner to this, or for an intermediate person, or for somebody who isn't as experienced on the tech side as they are. But once again, this is a great way to show off like a specific story, somebody's actual experience with, look, maybe they're based in Canada and they're trying to ship to the EU, or they're trying to import something from Japan, or they have buyers in Brazil and they have to do something with the currency, or the tax that's confusing. That builds up the trust so much faster. And that's kind of the big takeaway here is they're asking for so much trust from the user to take over their entire store. So it's really on them to not only sell SellerAI as a product, but just the concept of agentic AI for e-commerce, because we're still so early in this cycle. SellerAI has the ability to be a leader, but they're going to have to do a lot on the education side and the support side. The testimonials need to be spot on. They need to be specific. We need to see real outcomes from this. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that the testimonials or the case studies need to be like these incredible stories where the guy just turns on SellerClaw and he just sits back and prints money from his e-commerce store. No, make it a little bit more down to earth to increase that level of trust and say, look, this fixes a specific thing in my stack. And once they see that one thing is working, that trust meter bumps up just a little bit to the point where they can say, hey, maybe I'll try this on this other aspect of my workflow, or maybe I'll try the sourcing thing, or I'll try running ads off it. That's how it works. You're not going to get people to jump on this platform and completely hand over the keys. It needs to be a slow and gradual process, and the trust is huge. Now, over here on X, we see SellerAI, still a pretty new account. They do have a cool launch video, so you can go check that out. A lot of the work is going to be done here on social media to tell people what agentic AI really does, to tell people how it can be used in e-commerce, to show those testimonials. But here on X, on LinkedIn, this is going to be the trenches for these guys to show them what their product can do. And even if they start small, like I said, with one feature, one customer type, that's what it's going to take to start adding those proof cases, those use cases to the site, the testimonials. And assets like this can be super helpful. If you don't have the testimonials yet, just use these kind of industry benchmark placeholders. I really like these. Agentic commerce is a huge growing market. It's growing fast. Get in on it now or you're going to be left behind. Like that, it does read a little dry. Maybe I want to see, a founder's opinion on this or some quotes from industry leaders, but they're in the right direction here. It just needs to be higher volume, more consistency, experimenting a little bit, but that's how it goes. So wrapping it up here, big congrats to the guys at SellerClaw, at SellerAI. #1 ranked on the day here, already upvoted on Product Hunt. So if you'd like the video, I do breakdowns like this all the time on my channel. Follow me here, follow me on socials, wherever, and I'll see you next time.